Reddit, what was your "it's totally not a phase" mom dad that ended up being just a phase? I thought I was setting a new fashion by buying multiple copies of the same clothes. I always looked the same, just like cartoon characters. Jeans, an open black button-down short-sleeved shirt over a t-shirt, and a giant floppy white sun hat. Combined with my long hair, I'd have made at least a passably dressed girl if not for the fact that I was, in fact, male. I still find black button-down shirts in old boxes. This is so funny to me. Everyone had a goth phase, a skater phase, etc. You had a cartoon character phase. That phase where I worshipped 1970s 1980s music and refused to listen to anything else. I was born in the wrong generation, etc. Ditto. I would wear ripped skinny jeans, Converse, brightly colored socks, and band t-shirts. I was obsessed with Guns N' Roses. I'm still a big fan of 70s 80s classic rock, but not nearly as bad. I wasn't going to go to college. I was going to be a rock star. A big hair wearing, spandex sporting, keto playing rock star. Spoiler, I am not a rock star. I wanted to be a rapper for a couple years. My friends and I freestyled, smoked blunts, and drank 40s all the time. We're white and from a very affluent town. I developed a way of talking when I was in a sorority that my family made fun of. It's a little hard to describe, but think like an extremely toned down version of that Let's Get Some Shoes YouTube video. I swore up and down that I wasn't talking any different and that it was just the way I normally sounded. Looking back, I 100% talked differently and 100% deserved to be made fun of. OMG shoes. The goth phase. I actually ran across an old black lipstick not long ago. I would never wear it again, but I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. That phase lasted far longer than I thought it would. I mean, it lasted like 10 years. I can relate. The big plus of being a goth was getting dressed every day was super easy. I would usually go with the black jeans and a black band t-shirt, or a slightly darker black band t-shirt. At any point of time I will always think that I am intelligent, mature and a cool person, but each time I look at the past me I will always think about how dumb and cringe-worthy my actions were. I think that means you're doing it right. One summer somewhere around season 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer airing and me getting internet access for the first time, I decided that I was going to become dark and mysterious and become a witch. I started exercising my religious freedom by burning shitloads of candles in my room and making a book of shadows. A purple ring binder with a lopsided homemade tinfoil pentagram glued on the front and spells that I copied down off the Angel Fire page of some clearly mentally ill person. I decided to form a coven which consisted of me, some goth boy who wore the same Cradle of Filth t-shirt every day and smelled like wet dog, and a really angry girl with cherry red hair dye that was constantly smeared all over her neck and ears. Our one and only coven meeting involved us watching The Craft while taking notes for inspiration, then getting into a shitload of trouble from my mum for pouring table salt all over the carpet to make a magic circle of protection while we were doing spells. I was also a vegan. For life. Well, for a whole month except for when my mum took me to Burger King. Obvs. It's been 15 years and I still can't smell incense without feeling an acute wave of shame. I am getting very giggly thinking about some teenagers very seriously taking notes while watching The Craft. The Craft. Skateboarding. Thought I was going to be the next Tony Hawk. My mom told me I'd just hurt myself and give it up, but she reluctantly bought me a board anyways. A broken wrist and a few stitches in my head later and I no longer skateboard. Everyone hurts themselves skateboarding. My wrists and ankles to this day click from skateboarding, but now and again I still do it. It's still fun. 1. Bangs over one eye. 2. Ike wristband. 3. A7X leather watch on my left wrist. 4. Huge legged black jeans and a plethora of wallet chains. No wallet. 5. Huge black hoodie where I cut holes for my thumbs so I could wear my sleeves like a glove. Cringe. Somehow I still had friends. Hoot topic. Yum. Everything that I chose to be, say, and do between the ages 12 and 18. I remember shouting "This is WHOIAM, Mom" about very trivial things that had nothing to do with who I was. Buys black jelly bracelets. "This is WHOIAM. Mom. Starts drinking coffee. This is WHOIAM. Mom. Falls in love 3 times a week. This is WHOIAM. Mom. Pierces my own lip at a friend's house. This is WHOIAM. Mom. I'm surprised she still likes me. Started drinking coffee at 16. This is who I am now. Being a skateboarder. I was obsessed. Was fairly certain I could become famous. Couldn't really do anything worthwhile except ollie a couple feet and some crappy grinding. On the plus side, I lost like 50 pounds in high school because I was skating like 6 hours every single day. I was still terrible in the end, but looked good. It was a phase. Hop back on a board and frick around. After not skating for a few years, I started just cruising around a little while ago, and it's fun as heck. My gothic phase, and I totally half-assed it, because my mum wouldn't let me dye my hair black and I never went to school wearing the dramatic makeup. Partially because makeup in general was poser and preppy, partially because I wasn't confident enough. But what I lacked in appearance, I made up for by drawing angsty pictures and listening to heck of a lot of The Cure. I too was never able to fully commit to a phase subculture. For about a year or two in high school, I hated the world and everyone in it, never missing an opportunity to criticize society. I only wanted to be around intellectually stimulating people and saw everyone else as beneath me. I was pretty much the female version of a neckbeard. I cringe just thinking about it. A lot of people on here reading this may have just taken a long look in the mirror. Long hair. No haircuts from late teens to age 28. I could sit on it and kept shutting it in car doors. Male pattern baldness saw to that. Now I have a number 2 buzz cut and save a fortune on shampoo and conditioner. It took 9 months to get out of the habit of flicking my hair sideways whenever I put on a shirt or coat. Would still have long hair if I hadn't gone bald. People who've only known me as bald get pretty weirded out when I show them a picture of me with hair down to the middle of my back. Identifying as hermaphrodite. I was out to my school and everything. Turns out I was just a really late bloomer. I cringe when I think about all the people I told and all those posts on Avon. I'm 29. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go the distance. 1. Obsession with MTG. 2. Obsession with RPGs. 3. Wearing boys' clothes exclusively. 4. Not dating anyone. 5. Fear of clowns. Paintball. Ended up a 2-time national champion before finding out it was just a phase, and an expensive one at that for a 15-year-old. But I had a blast and made some really great friends. Yes, I still have all my old gear, including most of my jerseys. Played for Black Magic, a local team, in the off-season and tour with Avalanche on the Pan Am circuit for a couple years. Wouldn't have given the chance up for the world. I used a, get this, you're ready, almost completely unmodified 98 AGD Automag. Even had a flatline reg. I lived, breathed, and died by AGD. Crap my pants when the mag was released. Still, to this day, my mag has all its factory stars. Doubt they still honor that whole program. Tank needs to be replaced. Hasn't been hydroed in well over a decade. I mean, I don't know if I'd call it just a phase, it sounds more like he retired lol. I used to love paintballing, although I never played in any championships. I haven't gone in so long. When I was 16 I was determined to become a private investigator. The first step, investigate my family. It ended badly when I found a homemade adult video my parents made on their CMP. This is one case that Holmes wish he didn't solve, Watson. Environmentalism. I threw a fit over them flushing the toilet too often. They said, look, it's our house. We want to flush the toilet when we want to. We understand this is important to you, but this is how we feel about it. It was the greatest human rights abuse I had ever witnessed in person. Neopets. I played religiously, had millions of Neopoints, over 275 avatars, the best Neopets, as well as being Neophamous for a short while. Still cringing years later. Mortal Kombat is the greatest movie ever, and I will never change my mind about this. My sister, 10 years older than me, still pokes fun at me for this one. I was 7 years old. Stop. I was a wannabe Jew 2025. I think mostly I was hoping I would find a nice Jewish girl. This was better than the anarchist existentialist phase from 1720. I did end up with a girl who can claim some Jewish ancestry, but I stopped wearing the Star of David earrings somewhere in there. I had a phase when I was a teenager where I took up skateboarding, listening to pop punk music, cut my hair short and wore boys pants and shorts. I thought that I would stay like that for the rest of my life, but it lasted for around 6 months. Thankfully, because I'll look back at it now and it was bad. Sadly, I never left my pop punk phase. Now here I am in my mid-20s in a pop punk band. I was a pretty hardcore weeaboo, stupidly into anime, in middle and most of high school. Went to cons, watched crap in Japanese, called my female friends, insert diminutive, chan. I even avoided considering a really good college because they didn't have an anime club, and it never struck me that A, I could start my own, or B, that I wouldn't care terribly much 2 years later when I became a college student. Nowadays, anime is nice and all, but I watch maybe one new series a year if that. Being a young adult is too busy and exhausting to have time for that crap. Mom, I really need to buy this $50 yo-yo. I'm gonna be great one day. I can feel it. No, I can't just use the Walgreens one. God, Mom, you don't understand me. Now that I think back on it, I'm pretty sure I only wanted to become a master yo-yoer because of that one episode of Sweet Life on Deck. I remember in junior high I absolutely refused to wear jeans. I just wore cargo pants. I won't even pretend to know the reasoning behind this. I had that phase in high school for a little while because I was obsessed with pockets. Also, when my family went to soup plantation, I'd hoard muffins in them. Skater culture. I wore all the clothes, hung out with all the skaters, built the most awesome skateboard, got a dope deck, trucks, wheels, etc. My mom kept telling me all of that would be really cool if I actually learned how to skateboard, but I never did. I just wanted to be part of the culture. I think I carried that goddamn skateboard around for almost 2 years before I realized it was just not for me, but at least I met some cool friends and did a lot of drugs in the process. So there's that. After being called a poser by about 45 people, I think it's important to note that A, I was 14-15 and I'm 30 now. I have since found many hobbies I actually do enjoy. B, if you're over the age of 16 and you're still using the word poser to describe someone, your opinion isn't terribly important to me. Video games. Oddly enough, back in middle school and high school I was pretty obsessed with them. I played a ton, was subscribed to some magazines, frequented gaming sites, was part of clans and communities, built my own rig, etc. Now I don't really care. I still play them, but it's more casually. Video games are just there to pass the time. Filthy casual. All sorts of hats. Everywhere I was I had a hat. I've been told I used to wear them to bed because I'd forget to take them off. Then there's the time I wore boots so often my feet turned to pale marshmallows. What a time. RTF2. It hurts just to remember, but communism. I'm from a non-aligned country and when I was a teenager our economy was going to the shitter thanks to the IMF's recipes. So, 14-year-old me came to the logical conclusion that, if capitalism had failed us so hard, communism must be the way. I read the Communist Manifesto and took a shot at attempting to understand Das Kapital. I wore a hammer and sickle patch on my high school backpack and evangelized about how the working masses needed to take over the means of productions and rid ourselves from the bourgeois parasites. Needless to say I didn't have many friends and I was freaking cringy. I credit this phase with getting me interested in politics though, and for that I'm grateful. Oh yes, the commie phase. World of Warcraft. During my golden age of playing, end of vanilla Warlock, I thought nothing else would come close to as enjoyable. Countless nights playing with friends in world PvP and raiding were eventually replaced by tediously min-maxing my class for high-end raiding and boring cookie-cutter PvP arena. My love for the game just kind of puttered out as the game shifted more towards a solo experience and less towards a world built around teamwork and discovery. These days I play across all consoles, including PC. I get my gaming fix in other ways, but I don't think I'll ever be addicted to a game the way I was to WoW in its prime. Being a vegetarian, I'm a big time carnivore, always have been, but I started dating this girl who was a vegetarian, me being utterly willing to change any facet of my personality if there was the slightest chance it would increase the likelihood of a girl letting me touch her boobs or her touching mine. Immediately became a vegetarian too. I went home to tell my dad and he just says, "This is because of a girl, isn't it?" No dad, I'm seriously concerned about the plight of, like, tiny animals and stuff. They are subjected to appalling conditions in those reservoirs. Abattoirs? Whatever. Righto. You'll last a week. So, 2 weeks later, I get dumped. Now I have no girlfriend and no meat. But I can't bear seeing that look on my dad's face, the smirking one that says I win. So I persisted with my vegetarianism for an entire year. Ugh. My first post-veggie meat encounter was a McD's double cheeseburger and it was glorious. Now, my dad says he's impressed that I lasted so long and that it obviously wasn't about the girl. Haha, I win. Dad, I win. I'm not a girl. I was a husky teenager. And yes, my username is suspicious but it's a true story. And to the people saying actually, your dad won. My god, that wily old bastard. Now that's commitment. Going way too far with the whole My Little Pony thing. It only lasted 10 months or so, but dang I look back at it and it makes me cringe about myself. No disrespect towards anyone who enjoys it or such. It's not a bad show at all, but yeah. Not me, but my friend is gay, except he's starting to get interested in girls, too. We told him coming out to his parents is going to be the most awkward time of his life. I freaking wish I would have gone through an emo phase or some crap. Instead I was a pretty boring kid that listened to country and classic rock like every kid in Iowa, wore blue jeans and t-shirts. Although I did go through a hippie kind of phase, but that didn't last long. I feel like now, being almost 20, I'm making up for it though. Whether that's a good or bad thing I do not know. I ate everything with chopsticks for about a month in my teens. I actually told my parents it is a phase. I just wanted to learn it. Being a skater. That phase ended when I couldn't even learn to ollie after a month of skating every day. Unfortunately it didn't end before my parents bought me over $100 worth of skating merchandise. 1. Football baseball cards. 2. Pokemon. 3. Bowl cuts. 6 years. Man. WTF was I thinking? 4. Skateboarding. I don't need knee strength when I am older. I was so stupid. 5. Windbreaker pants. Anarchism. I really thought that people could just get along without a government. Silly 14-year-old me. Yes, I've read Orwell. Yes, I've read Chomsky. No, I don't think they are childish or unintelligent. No, I don't think it's an unreasonable idea. I just think it lacks in practicality, especially in the modernized US with 300 million people ingrained into a culture which is mostly counter to anarchist ideologies. If you want to talk to me about it, I suggest not starting the discussion with frick off. It doesn't endear you as a person worth having a debate with. I read this as anachronism, like, you didn't believe in time or something. That would be a pretty intense phase. When I was little 4ish I demanded that my name be changed to Tulip. It lasted 2 impressive weeks. And now that I'm in my 20s they call me Tulip. Life is rough. Being punk. Accusing every band that signed to major labels as sellouts and refusing to continue listening regardless of the music quality. Also being extremely opinionated on social political issues without really even knowing much about them. Just echoing things others had told me. I vehemently despised anyone that wasn't a part of the subculture and alienated a lot of people that I later on realized I could have been great friends with. Then I got a girlfriend and went to college and listened to anything, although I am still a sucker for good old hardcore. Magic the Gathering. That stuff is basically H for nerds. My parents were seriously concerned because I was sneaking out on Fridays to go play at Friday Night Magic and spending every cent I owned on cards. Wearing regular clothing. Went from band shirts and jeans to what the cool kids were wearing. After a year or two I just couldn't resist the metal anymore and went right back to band shirts, black jeans and leather boots. I never went through a phase. Am I missing out? I was just a generally well-liked dude who wore jeans, a t-shirt and sneakers. L liked a wide range of music and circulated amongst various social circles at school. I think the closest I came to a phase was when I turned 16. My addiction to gratuitous amounts of stereo equipment in my car began. I'm 27 now and I still refuse to own a car without aftermarket speakers. I was gonna be a Juggalo for life and die and go to Shangri-La. Then Shaggy asked how magnets were made and I realized I'd been idolizing two retarded religious nutbags. Glad I figured that crap out before I got my planned fullback Joker's card tattoo. Some autocorrects also I'm leaving it, but Shaggy asked how they work, not how they were made. I was tired. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.